PAL players, I mean, we talked about earlier, most TVs play it already. You just have to convert the power. There's a few things I actually have. There's this. I don't really like these, but you can use them. They do work. It just goes from 110 to 220. That's it. And likely you have to get an adapter because most of them are this the triangle type pattern for it. And these don't really take that. You really can't find them with this, so you have to. It's a pain in the butt. I normally go for stuff like this. It's a step up and step down. You can change it however you want. They're a lot, I'd say, more reliable. There we go. Yeah. Looks like that. And you change your input or your input. It's a bar you pull out, put in wherever you want. There's your output. Yeah, see, with these two, you don't need the adapter. But yeah, you definitely need something like this. If your TV doesn't play the PAL signal, it's that simple. Just a little $10, $20 adapter off eBay. Converts the signals. You'll see us do it later if you see us plug in the PAL player.
On the black box you've got, that's just the voltage converter. It doesn't convert
Yep.
frequency, right? 50, 60.
Some of them do. You have to get the higher end ones. I don't know if this one does. Mine, I don't think does. But I mean, it plays them fine. But that's the risk.
Yeah, that's weird. I really thought the PAL players, or at least some of them, were frequency dependent. You know, the SFT 100 equivalents in the PAL end, because the motor was synchronous to the line frequency.
Yeah. I think they have more problems playing our players than we do with them, because I've used this on the 101, the 201, the McMichael, and they all play.
Okay.
So, and they play fine, audio and video. So I'm not exactly sure, but it could be because this does 50 hertz. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I bought this.
Where's the best place to find the PAL player?
eBay. Yep. And there's a few on there right now. I just bought that one off eBay a while back. Like probably less than a month ago.
And then you buy PAL discs out there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was lucky enough to buy it from someone who had discs. I was like, can you sneak a few discs in the package? Because otherwise, like most of the time when you see them, they'll say like $28 to ship one disc. You're like, oh, I don't want that. But it's just one of those things. You gotta be patient. And you gotta look for them on eBay. That's really, you're not gonna find them on Craigslist. You're not gonna find them on anything like that. It's really just eBay, and it's only because people from the UK will sell on eBay. And then you gotta be, hopefully, they're willing to ship, because a lot of them won't. They just don't want to do it. They're like, chances are it's gonna break. And I've had two, like, definitely like, well, that got messed up in shipping. It's because like on the Hitachis, it's like a plastic piece the size of a disc, and you slide it in, and it stops the table from moving in transit. A lot of them don't do that, and even when you tell them, can you cut a piece of cardboard the size of a disc, put it in there, like, yeah, I'll do it, and they don't. What can you do? It's just one of those things. Obviously, it's eBay, so you could return it if you're really. But again, even those PAL players, you can take parts from a regular Hitachi player as long as it's still like in the same line, because they got better, and they, like it's like how you can use a lot of parts from, say, a J300 on a 100, but there's clearly differences, and some parts aren't going to work. It's the same thing. The later end models have different parts, whether it's mechanical or electronic. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For finding them, at least, and fixing them.
I watched something on eBay the other day. Do they only make PAL stuff for like 6 months? That's what this guy said.
I did hear that it was a super short time. I feel like I saw that somewhere on there.
I saw the same stuff for like 6 months. Do you watch that?
There was a short release time. It's surprising they even have any over there still. I remember that.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, from the people I've talked to in the UK, they say it doesn't even
really rare to find over there. And
Yeah.
that's where it all is, so.
Right. They're really there's two people. One's called Get It Sold, and the other one is I forget her name, but her dad repairs them, and that's how I eventually ended up getting a 201p manual for them. I gave it to Josh. I've given it to a few people, I think, at this point now. But again, with that manual, you don't have the spare parts. There's almost no point to it. So just one of those things that the Hitachi players are really terrible things, not fun to work on. You get if it's just belts, you're lucky. Other than that, there's no point. Because if you got the working part from a working player, we just destroy that player to pull that part for that one. So unless you really want one versus the other, they're pretty much
Mine's in the garage. I think it's gonna make a trip to the dumpster.
It's pretty much where I feel they all have it, which is a bummer, but there's nothing you can do with them. There just really isn't. Yeah, see, so this is John's. Discontinued in '83, so that should tell you something. Man. Yep. Television fades. This is the difference between NTSC and PAL.
There's no two disc titles.
Yes, that's true. Good. There's no two disc pat. No, everything could fit on one disc because of the speed it was played with how they work.
Isn't it like 75 minutes a slide or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird because you'll see like, I can't think of any titles now.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
And
one
then
that was in
one
there,
disc.
clearly two discs.
And then also it'll be in stereo in PAL too, and it won't be stereo here.
Like the right stuff or something?
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good example. I don't know if that, but that's exactly what it was. Not mono and two disc.
Yeah.
How keep making them after RCA stopped, or?
I think they only got that limited run and they were done like us. Like I think was it at the same time? I don't know. Would you know? The PAL discs, because were they made where you were working?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So were they cut off at the same time?
Yeah, they went through the same process.
Okay,
They
yeah.
had all PAL equipment to do the evaluations on them.
Okay. Cool.
What was that player of that disc that you had a couple years ago, that real skinny one? It was a disc, Friday the 13th or something, you brought.
Oh, the 3D one. Yeah, the VHD player that I brought to the last workshop. Well, not the last, but that was probably like 2-3 years ago. Yeah, that was the VHD 3D player.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. They probably could have gotten so much farther with CED if they just had even a couple more years. Because VHD, they were making video up until at least '89,
Wow.
all the way. They have Back to the Future 3, I think, is one of their latest ones. I think they might even have one that's 1990, honestly. Like they were making, Japanese were still digging VHD for a while. Sorry.
VHD laser? What is
No, it is stylus capacitance just like CED. It's their version. I know. Was it JVC?
It's a grooveless disc.
I was going to say, but it's non-contact.
Non-contact, absolutely.
Yeah,
But it still has a
okay.
style. Their stylus looks almost the exact same,
It's
except
like
it's
glides
built.
across the surface. There's a servo that tracks
Video
the
high
information
density,
in the disc to get
Oh,
So it's still a capacitance pickup, but it's linear tracked.
Say where?
Probably wouldn't have skips.
Yeah, there's a
The
kind
skips
of
are
a
very
picture of a
large.
VHD stylus.
But it did.
I've got better pictures. See, you can see everything. Tone arm, there's the fly lead.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
I didn't even know.
And they had a couple different styles of stylus.
And
There was-
how long did they produce the VHD?
I know for sure the discs were till like 89, 90. So I assume the players were kind of near that. But I know the highest, I could probably figure out when, because I have their top of the line last player they made, which was called an HD 9500. And that one was 3D capable and the big
And who
one.
manufactured those?
Victor.
Uh,
Victor.
Not too
Um,
many titles, the title numbers. Mostly Japanese.
Yeah. It was mainly for them. after a while, for sure. They got a lot of our early titles, like when CED was, because it was they were competing. You know, like, well, you have yours, we're doing ours. It wasn't JVC like contracts to like make stuff for them, or they were gonna do a player like them. And they
Something
said,
like
we
that.
have a better idea and we're gonna do our own thing. We don't like yours. We're gonna refine it. It's something along those lines. I know there was like some type of disagreement. And they're like, okay, you do yours. We have all your info. We're good.
Same way they did theirs.
Was the picture quality any better?
No, it was about the same.
It's about the same.
Mhm.
But the disc was.
But being
about half the size,
non-contact.
wasn't
That's another thing with non-contact. There's really almost no way to even clean those discs. And I mean, once they go bad, I don't know how. I haven't had the guts to like take one out and clean it. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I feel like they go worse faster.
So they're not coated or anything like the laser disc?
I haven't been able to like really touch one.
But
It
the
just
random
will not
access-
clean them like it will a CD player. Like just playing it won't clean it. They go to the same skip wherever there's every time. It's kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah.
And like you can rewind or fast forward over it. It will not clean it. So like I said, most discs that I've gotten that are bad, they stay bad. I don't know how to clean them.
But once the surface is contaminated, you probably can't do nothing about it.
Probably right.
That's what I would think, because I know the same thing. I assume it's got some type of coating on it that you don't want to touch, like CDs.
Kind of like laser rot, the glue.
Yeah.
Goes bad on your laser disc.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
the story that I'd heard, you know, from my father working at the Princeton labs about the genesis of the CEDs being in the sleeves, and I'm curious if, you know, on the manufacturing end, I bet there was a similar variant of the story of who the hero behind it was, right? But it, this is the story went, some early engineering players were at, you know, mid-level executives' houses for testing with their families. A disc was out on the table. The housekeeper was changing vacuum cleaner bags, and I don't know if anyone actually kind of saw dust, but basically came home, this disc was completely contaminated with vacuum cleaner bag dust particulate, and they realized they could not clean it. And after putzing around with different ways to try and clean it for 6 months, they came up with the idea of, well, we'll put it in the caddy. And then, and this is one of the areas where I know my father was loosely involved, was back in the 80s, to make an adhesive to cover, you know, a 13-inch square piece, they had a tremendous amount of difficulty with the chemistry of it, in that the adhesives they were using were causing the caddies to twist and not lay flat enough, and that there was quite literally a year manufacturing delay just trying to work out the adhesive to make the label stick. Now,
Wow.
how many of those pieces are really true? And keep in mind, you know, I got these stories kind of growing up when my dad would come home from work, and the time shifts in here are very questionable, but, you know, it does seem to me that, yeah, adhesives then were not what they are today, and it seems like there could be some legitimacy to that, but I've always been kind of curious to hear it from the other side of the fence, right? Because, you know, his cronies were all the engineers in the labs, but the manufacturing side of it, I'd always heard, had constant battles with, you know, you guys might be engineers and scientists, but you don't know shit about manufacturing. And
Trying to,
yeah. But so clearly the dusting was a real issue. So these discs, so I have some pictures I took. I couldn't bring the machine out, but I have a working Engineering Model 3 player, and I have an entire case of discs that go with it. So I wish I could have brought it out maybe the next time, but it weighs probably, you were saying lightweight, this is the antithesis of lightweight,
Yeah.
It's probably over 50 pounds.
Wow.
I took it apart this weekend, I'll put up the pictures later, but it's quite literally a wooden box. This was the first time I took it apart this weekend. A dozen screws come out, and the entire player actually slides out of the box. And the player is, I don't know if it's cast aluminum, cast iron, whatever, but there was quite a bit of heavy-duty metal associated with this thing. And I have a box of these discs that came with it. They're 5,000 track per inch discs, and at the time there was no caddies, and this was the design of the shippable caddy. It worked. I mean, that's the first thing I can say. I got the machine, I don't know, 12, 14 years ago. It was in some university basement closet, with stuff stacked on top of it. Showed up at my door, a little jostled in the box, but basically took it apart, found a belt that seemed to fit the turntable, and it came up. Stylus arm started moving. I had no clue if the stylus was even any good. It wasn't working, and it turned out after putzing with it for an hour that it, on the back of it, you can see in the picture, but the jack labeled video out is a standard F connector. And so I just went right from that, and I kept trying channels 2, 3, 4, because there was a switch that said 2 and 3. Turns out it was a composite video output on an F connector jack, which, it was labeled video. It didn't say what it was, it just said video, and I foolishly assumed that based on the connector. But other than that, it worked then. I pulled it down this weekend, took it out of the box, cleaned it up a little, and it worked. It was not necessarily an impressive picture quality. Now, granted, these discs, you can tell there's some water staining on here. For all I know, they were underwater, or they were in a cabinet in a university being dripped on for 20, 30, 40 years. Half the discs are labeled Jacques Cousteau. Why that was the sample back then, I don't know. The other half, though, are all different titles, and some of which I don't believe exist in production in CED. They were Bob and His Heart, and Bob and His Spine, and they were a series of these. And so ideally, I'll clean it up, play them all, record them. My paranoia was always the stylus. I took some pictures of it, took it out. It is surprisingly close in form factor to the 149 stylus, although I have absolutely no clue if it shares the same electrical properties or not. But I'm pretty sure with a Dremel tool, I can make a 149 stylus fit in it. So I'd be kind of curious if I packaged the stylus and shipped it out, if you could make any measurement or determination, because that's most likely the limiting factor of playing whatever is on these discs.
Can we see?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a top loader or what?
So it's a top
That's
loader.
good.
Yeah, it's 5,000 track per inch, 30 minute per side. And you can still see the banding and everything on there.
Some cool looking banding.
Fingerprints from who knows who. Actually, maybe we can print it, send it to NCIC, and see who worked on this player. I was just, honest to God, shocked that this thing literally just plugged in and worked.
That's so awesome.
I mean, there's numerous stepper belts inside it, which I have not changed, or cog belts. And I'm kind of paranoid too, because I'm like, there's no manual, there's test points all over it, but I don't know what should be coming out of them. So
Them older players too, the belts they had on them, they don't like new belts, even if they were right kind.
well, and there's funky stuff too, because there's like these solenoids which will clamp down on the belt and stop it. Why would you do that? I don't.
It's very weird.
But yeah, there's biaxial movement of stuff, and in addition to the cog belts, there are these clamp down solenoids, which makes no sense to me. It might have been some kind of way it can recalibrate where it is on the disc. I don't know.
Yeah, very weird.
But it's cool.
Yeah, no, it seemed very interesting. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. I was looking at the pictures. I'm like, I totally got to take more. So I'm going to take it apart again. I was so paranoid that this thing's like as old as I am, pretty much. And And I'm not running so good lately that.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool player.
Yeah.
That's definitely a one-of-a-kind find.
But it won't play I have one of the award discs that they gave out to the early engineers with Lum Fong on it, but that was the EM1 player that was 4,000 tracks per inch. So I'm assuming that wouldn't work at all, wrong speed, wrong everything, it would probably just blow something up.
Have you tried these other discs on another player, a modern player? Well, production player?
I have not, but because they're 5,000 tracks instead of 10,000 per inch, I'm assuming that it's going to just eat itself. And they could... Actually, I guess they probably didn't change the encoding, though. And they may have, but I mean, those were 30 minutes per side, but just due to track density. So I don't know... how did they really get the track density up from 5,000 to 10,000? What was it better quality manufacturing standards? Was it, what drove that? I know the business reason was we want to ship a movie on one disc. But I don't know what the engineering behind it was.
Do you have any idea what the rotation speed is? Not the regular 450 RPMs.
I'll time it. Tom had a mention of the player on his site, though. I think it was the regular 450 RPM.
What the hell was that?
That is the VHD stylus.
Oh, okay.
That's where they go in completely different too. It goes into like a little plastic, like not sleeve, but it holds it there, and then you set that back down. Almost everyone that I've ever touched was that way.
Okay.
And then this right here is a transport screw, so you didn't have to deal with the stylus arms flying away in transit. But they had time to kind of do a few things, improve, other than video quality. They're the same. And it runs at a higher RPM too. I want to say 700. It's very fast.
Yeah.
They're a smaller disc too. Like, it's I want to say inch or two smaller altogether.
Huh. Do you know when VHD came on the market? I mean, I've read about it, but not in a while.
Shortly after, I want to say 83. Because
Okay.
it was only a little after, because it was all like, yeah, we have all your ideas. We have everything that you want. Thank you. See you later.
Right.
We're going to do our own. It was shortly after that. Like right after they came out. I don't know the exact date.
Technology was, integrated circuits were evolving so quickly back then that 2 years is a world of difference in memory cache and whatever. Yeah.
That's an example. That's my hand. That's how small they are. They're a little different. You know what I mean? Remote.
Have you ever, I noticed, I watched
What's the
you-
quality, Ryan?
It's the same as VHD.
Okay.
Or the CED, sorry. It really is not any better. And that, again, as far as I'm concerned, when this is gone, it's gone. So it's probably worse.
Can you still find styles for those?
I've seen them for sale. They usually go for 70 untested, and that's the lowest I've seen. I've seen them go for 150.
wow.
There's someone on eBay selling one for like 500 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll never get it. No one will ever buy it. But your best bet, honestly, is probably buy a broken player and pay the 100 or whatever it is to get that
Right.
shipped to you, and you might have a working one.
So these machines come from Japan though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, actually, the first one I got was from California, but they got it from Japan. So, for the most part, you're only getting them on like Yahoo Japan or Rinkia. That's about it. For the VHDs, yeah. They have all the. I don't think they ever had a wired remote. They had a lot of stuff though. They're 3D goggles. They're crazy. They go all the way around your head. They have blinders on the side. What should we go for next? Is that the same one?
I noticed you counting. What were you, when you were looking at this, what were you doing? I'm just curious.
Counting the 8, what do you call them?
Fields.
The 8 fields.
TV fields.
Oh, okay.
Just to see if they was the same as the,
Did you count 8 or I didn't see it?
I think I counted 8.
Yeah.
I think I counted
Okay, I was
it.
just curious what you were doing.
I think they counted 8.
Okay.
I was curious about that too.
Yeah.
would it be crazy to try loading one of those into a regular cassette, a regular cover?
I
Drawing
actually,
on?
the one I have, I did put into a regular CD player, a 400, and it wouldn't play it.
Oh, okay.
But, I had to try it. I was just for a second.
Of course.
Did it work? No, okay, off. Scroll it back, take this out. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things.
Click, click, click. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotta believe the stylus would not be happy in those discs.
How about those? You haven't
I,
tried?
I haven't, but if we have one here, we can certainly try it. I mean, there's a slight risk to, if on the shipping RCA players, the stylus wasn't dragged, though. It was moved across by a motor.
Yeah.
Right, so if you put in something like this, I'm curious if each track along, it would basically kind of be pulling itself over and starting to skip tracks. I don't know, but
Because
there-
the encoding wouldn't pick it up, is that what you're saying?
well, no, I'm thinking that the physical pace that it's moving along is not going to match the grooves.
Oh, right.
So at some point, they're going to
Yep.
hop, but I mean, these aren't, while they're cool, they're not valuable enough to say, oh, I would never try that if someone wants to
Yeah,
put
you
it in
got
a
a box there. It
player.
won't hurt to try one Jacques Cousteau, right?
Right.
Will that and what, would DAXI information be different too?
I have no
I'm gonna
clue.
say
That's what I
that's
thought.
probably why the player won't recognize it.
Pro- Most likely, but
I can see that being a problem for sure, but until we try or someone who can look at it better,
Right.